My girlfriend asked for a house as a birthday gift. Alright, so buckle up, because I promise you this isn't going to be your typical girlfriend asked for a gift, I panicked story. No, this one's in a whole other league of insanity. I still can't decide whether I should laugh about it, cry about it, or question every single life choice I've ever made. But let's start from the beginning, because context matters, and this is Reddit, so you know I'm giving you the whole messy, unfiltered truth. I'm Ethan Carter, 27, living in a decent apartment in the city, making just enough money to survive and occasionally splurge on food that isn't ramen. I like my life. It's simple, predictable, and I've spent years training myself to avoid drama. You know, the classic good guy next door vibe. And then there's Sam, Samantha Reynolds. Sam is basically my opposite in every single way. She's loud, ambitious, knows exactly what she wants, and can somehow make everyone in the room feel like they've known her forever. She also has a way of dropping statements so casually that you think it's a joke, until you realize it's not. Sam and I have been together for 3 years. 3 years of dinner dates, inside jokes, accidental pillow fights, the works. Honestly, we've had the kind of relationship where you start thinking, okay, this is real, this is forever. And then she does something that completely shakes that foundation. Like, for example, asking for a house as a birthday gift. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's rewind. So a couple of weeks before my birthday, Sam and I were chilling at her place after a long day of work. She had her hair in a messy bun, wearing this oversized hoodie that I swear looked like it belonged to a college freshman, and she was scrolling on her phone like nothing in the world mattered except TikTok videos of people falling off hoverboards. Classic Sam. I, on the other hand, was sitting cross-legged on the couch scrolling through Etsy, trying to find the perfect birthday gift for her. I'm not saying I'm bad at gifts, but I take them way too seriously. Like, you wouldn't just get Sam a candle. No, I needed something meaningful, thoughtful, maybe with a hint of, wow, he really knows me. After about 10 minutes of silence, she looks up and goes, deadpan, hey, what if I got a house for my birthday? I froze. Literal freeze. My phone slipped from my hand. It hit the floor. TikTok videos kept playing, completely oblivious to the chaos I was experiencing. A house? I stammered, probably looking like I'd just seen a ghost. Yeah, she said, scrolling casually like she wasn't asking for the impossible. A house. You know, a place with a backyard, maybe a white picket fence, something cute, something permanent. I blinked. Once, twice, 3 times. My brain was doing cartwheels and somersaults, trying to find a logical explanation for what I had just heard. Maybe she meant a playhouse? A dollhouse? One of those tiny Airbnb-like sheds that people Instagram these days? No, she clarified, smiling like I was being dramatic. I mean a real house. For me, my birthday gift. And that's when I realized my life had officially entered the twilight zone. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Sam. I really, really do. She's amazing, funny, stunning, and somehow even when she's driving me insane, I still think, yep, I would fight a bear for her. But a house? As a birthday gift? I mean, come on. My bank account looked like it had survived a natural disaster the last time I checked. I tried to process it calmly. You're joking, right? Nope, dead serious, she said, putting her phone down. I thought about it, and honestly, it would be kind of perfect. At that moment, I realized 2 things. First, Sam's definition of perfect probably comes with a side of entitlement. Second, I might need therapy, or at least a very stiff drink. So I did what any rational adult would do. I laughed, nervously. The kind of laugh that makes it clear you're terrified but trying to act cool. Okay, that's bold, I said. Really bold. And Sam just grinned. That grin. You know the one. The one that makes you feel like she's 2 steps ahead of you in a game you didn't even know you were playing. I'm just saying, she added, stretching lazily on the couch. If you wanted to impress me this birthday, a house would do it. Cue the internal panic. My brain went into overdrive. Do I sell a kidney? Should I ask my rich uncle for a loan? Maybe I can enter a lottery? No, stop, Ethan. Think. But of course, my friends got wind of it almost immediately. I couldn't keep this to myself. First, I called Jake, my roommate and lifelong partner in questionable decisions. You're not going to believe what Sam just said, I told him, pacing my apartment like a caged tiger. Jake, who was eating cold pizza straight from the box, raised an eyebrow. Hit me. How bad could it be? I told him. He choked on his pizza. Literal choking. When he recovered, he said, dude, she asked for a house? Like a house? Not a dog house? Not a tree house? A house? Yes, a real house. With doors, walls, maybe a garden, I muttered. Jake nodded slowly. Well, congratulations. Either she's joking or you're about to become the most financially unstable man in your zip code. And he wasn't wrong. Then came my sister, Clara, who decided to weigh in via text. Ethan, she's testing you. Or she's a gold digger. Either way, good luck. Thanks, Clara. Super helpful. Really supportive sisterly advice there. By the end of the day, I'd gotten texts, calls, and even a FaceTime from my mom. Honey, remember, gifts are thoughtful, don't feel pressured, but a house? That's ambitious. Ambitious. That was one word for it. But here's the thing, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Not because I wanted to buy her a house, not even close. I just couldn't get past the audacity of the request. There was something intoxicating about it, something that made me want to try, just to see how far I could stretch myself. The next few nights were rough. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, imagining all the impossible ways I could make it happen. Should I rob a bank? Become a TikTok millionaire overnight? Marry a billionaire and ask for an advance? None of it was realistic, of course, but my brain refused to shut off. I thought about Sam and our history together, how she'd stayed up with me through nights I couldn't sleep, how she laughed at my terrible jokes, how she made even the simplest moments feel magical. And I realized something. This wasn't just about a house. It was about testing boundaries, about love, about seeing if I was willing to go all in. So there I was, lying in bed, heart racing, brain spinning. The absurdity of the request was overwhelming, yes, but somehow it felt like an opportunity to prove something. To her, to myself, maybe even to the world. And honestly, I had no idea how I was going to pull it off, but I was determined to try. Little did I know that one casual sentence, "I want a house for my birthday," was about to turn my life upside down. And that Reddit is how my birthday started, with a simple idea and ended with me questioning every single life choice I'd ever made. Because a house isn't just a gift, it's a lifestyle, a commitment, a statement. And now it was mine to figure out. After Sam's "I want a house for my birthday" bombshell, my life turned into this endless loop of what ifs, panic Googling, and half crazy brainstorming sessions that I'm pretty sure qualify as actual therapy. Let me set the stage. A few days after that fateful conversation, I was walking around my apartment like a sleep-deprived zombie, staring at walls, thinking about square footage, mortgages, HOA fees, and all sorts of terrifying adult stuff that previously only existed in nightmares, or that one Finance 101 lecture I slept through in college. I started to question everything, not just my ability to get a house, my entire life, my career, my future, my choice of cereal. Why did I choose Honey Nut Cheerios instead of Lucky Charms? I don't even like Lucky Charms, but the point is, my brain refused to shut down. And it wasn't just the finances, it was the pressure, the societal pressure, the what if I'm a failure pressure. Suddenly, every interaction with Sam became a potential test. Did she really expect me to do this? Was she even serious? Was this a test of my love, my commitment, or my sanity? Naturally, I turned to my friends. Because nothing solves a life crisis like asking three dudes who eat cereal for dinner for advice. First up was Jake, my roommate, chief of sarcasm and poor life decisions. "So, she wants a house?" he said, clearly enjoying the absurdity. "Yes," I muttered, probably looking like I'd been possessed by stress demons. "Dude, just do it," he said casually, taking a bite of some leftover pizza. "I mean, you love her, right? Go big or go home. Literally, home. Get it?" I didn't laugh. Well, maybe a little. But inside, my brain was screaming. Go big? What does that even mean? Does he realize houses cost like money? Actual money? Then I called Maya, my childhood friend, and a voice of reason in an otherwise absurd world. "Ethan, are you serious?" she said, in the way friends do when they love you but also want you to avoid jail. "This isn't a video game. You can't just give her a house. That's unrealistic. I mean, she's materialistic. Like, maybe you should reconsider this relationship?" Reconsider this relationship. Classic Maya, always brutally honest, sometimes painful, but mostly correct. So there I was, stuck in the middle. One friend telling me to go full Tony Stark billionaire mode, the other telling me to run for my life. And me, just sitting there, trying not to hyperventilate while Googling, how much does a small 2-bedroom house cost in my city for the 100th time that day? And then the idea started. Oh, Reddit, the ideas. First, I thought about the lottery. I mean, statistically, someone has to win, right? So I started buying tickets, thinking maybe I could magically become a millionaire in time for my birthday. Spoiler alert, I did not. Next, I considered crowdfunding. Yeah, I could just post on GoFundMe, help me buy my girlfriend a house for her birthday. She's wonderful, kind, amazing, and slightly terrifying. Honestly, I think the campaign would have gone viral, but also, I'd have probably lost all dignity in the process. Then came the get-rich-quick schemes. Day trading, cryptocurrency, selling homemade scented candles online. At one point, I even considered starting a podcast called "The Guy Who Tried to Buy His Girlfriend a House." I would have gotten at least a few sponsors, I figured. The more I thought, the more ridiculous everything became. But here's the thing. Through all the humor and absurdity, there was this gnawing weight in my chest. I love Sam. More than I've loved anyone. More than I thought possible. But I also know my limits. My bank account doesn't magically refill, and I don't have a secret billionaire uncle lurking around with a blank check. I started reflecting on her request. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe she was testing me. Or maybe she genuinely expected it. The thought made my stomach twist into knots. I didn't want to disappoint her. Not ever. But how could I possibly meet an expectation like this? And if I couldn't, what did that say about me? About us? I also couldn't stop thinking about past moments. Our first trip together, where she laughed so hard at my terrible jokes that I swore I was falling in love on the spot. The time she stayed up with me when I had the worst cold of my life, just bringing me soup and pretending my sneezes were hilarious. All these memories reminded me why I loved her, why I wanted to make her happy, even if the request was insane. But let's be real, there's a limit, a line between love and self-destruction. I started journaling about it, which is ironic because I've never been a journal person. Ethan, I wrote, you can't buy happiness, you can't buy love, but maybe there's a way to prove it. And that's when I realized this isn't about the house. Not really. It's about effort, about creativity, about showing Sam that I love her so much I'll move mountains, or at least try. Of course, the panic didn't completely subside. I still had moments where I imagined Sam's face if I told her, hey, sorry, I love you, but I can't give you a house. Would she laugh, cry, break up with me on the spot? My mind ran through 100 worst case scenarios before breakfast every morning. Then there were the humorous attempts at solutions. I tried drawing floor plans on napkins, pretending I was some kind of architect. I even went to open houses just to get ideas, but ended up hiding in closets when real estate agents tried to talk to me. And yes, I may have considered bribing a lottery clerk. Don't judge me. Desperation has a way of making you do things you'd never admit out loud. But amidst all the absurdity, there was clarity. I knew I had to be honest with her. I couldn't just spiral into madness trying to meet an impossible expectation. I had to talk to Sam. Really talk, without jokes, without panic, without overthinking. I needed to understand if this was a test, a joke, or something she genuinely wanted and expected. And that's where I was by the end of that week, pacing my apartment again, phone in hand, rehearsing the conversation in my head 100 times, imagining every possible reaction. Nervous? Absolutely. Overwhelmed? Without a doubt. But also strangely determined. Because if there's one thing I've learned about Sam, it's this. She's worth the effort. And even if it meant confronting my limits, my fears, and my sanity, I wasn't going to run. Not yet. So Reddit, that's where I am, obsessing, panicking, laughing, crying, Googling houses I can't afford, and writing terrible floor plans on napkins. And through it all, one question keeps me awake at night. Can love really move mountains? Or at least convince a girl that sometimes effort is better than a mansion? I didn't know yet, but I was about to find out. So, you know that Sam's I want a house for my birthday request has officially turned my life into a combination of a financial nightmare and a psychological thriller. So, naturally, after days of pacing, panic Googling, and absurd brainstorming, I decided it was finally time for the talk. The big one. The conversation that could either save my relationship or end my life. Figuratively, hopefully, not literally. I remember the morning vividly. The sun was streaming through my apartment blind, and I was sitting at the kitchen table like a zombie staring at my coffee cup. I had rehearsed my lines in front of the mirror at least 10 times. Ethan, you need to be calm. Ethan, you need to be honest. Ethan, do not say, I'll rob a bank if I have to. Yeah, that last one was still tempting, but let's try to keep it realistic. I called Sam. She answered after one ring, and I immediately noticed her tone. She sounded cheerful, unsuspecting, dangerous. Hey Sam, I said, trying to sound casual. Casual is key. Can we talk? Sure, about what? She asked, too cheerful, which is code for this is going to be interesting. About your house request, I muttered and immediately regretted saying it out loud. My heart was hammering like a drum solo at a rock concert. That, she said, laughing lightly. Sure, what about it? I took a deep breath. Here we go. So, we met at her place that evening. I arrived 20 minutes early because naturally I couldn't deal with the suspense any longer. She opened the door, smiling like I hadn't just been losing sleep over her insane request for days. Hey, she said, pecking me on the cheek. You look stressed. Are we going to talk about the house now? Yes, I said, fumbling with my keys in my pocket. We need to. I can't stop thinking about it, Sam. And I think we need to be honest with each other. She tilted her head, curious but calm, like she was reading me, weighing me. That gaze, it's the one that's half love, half judgment. Terrifying. I started. Look, I love you, Sam, more than I've loved anyone. But a house. I mean, it's not just big. It's huge. I can't just give you a house. I can't do it. At least not right now. And honestly, I'm scared. Scared I'll disappoint you. Scared that I'm not enough if I can't meet this expectation. Her face softened. Not judgmental. Not angry. Just thoughtful. Ethan, she said quietly, it's not really about the house. I blinked. Wait, what? It's not about the money or the size or anything material, she explained, walking over to the couch. It's about feeling secure, feeling valued, feeling loved in a way that matters. I know asking for a house sounds, I don't know, crazy, but that's my way of saying I want to feel like we're building something real together, something permanent. I sat down beside her, processing this. My chest was tight, my mind racing. On one hand, relief. On the other, holy crap, this is still intense. I get it, I said slowly. I really do, but it's just a huge request, and I can't help but feel like I'm failing already. She reached for my hand. Ethan, you're not failing. You're just human. And this is a test. I just want you to understand how important it is to me that we're in this together, that we can dream big together, even if it's scary. And then, like the universe decided I needed a full emotional roller coaster, flashbacks hit me. I remembered the night she stayed with me after my apartment got broken into. I was panicking, pacing like a lunatic, and she just sat there, holding my hand, calming me down, telling me that as long as we were together, nothing else mattered. I remembered the time I lost my job unexpectedly, and she had this look, half concern, half determination, and she said, we'll get through this together. She had cooked ramen with extra soy sauce and somehow made me feel like I was okay, even when I was broke, humiliated, and ready to crawl under a rock. I remembered the small, stupid things too. The nights we stayed up binge watching terrible rom-coms. The time she laughed so hard at my dance moves that I almost cried. The text messages she sent me out of the blue just saying, "I love you, idiot." All of it hit me at once. The love, the support, the bond we had built over 3 years. And suddenly, the house didn't feel like a request for a mansion. It felt like a metaphor, a symbol, a test of whether we could dream together. "Sam," I said finally, my voice cracking a little, "I don't know if I can get you a house. Not literally, but I want to do something. Something that proves I love you, that shows you how much you mean to me. Something meaningful." She looked at me, and for a second, I thought I saw her hold back tears. "Ethan, that's all I've ever wanted. Effort, thought, care. Not a checkbook or a real estate listing, just you trying with me." I exhaled like I hadn't breathed in days. Then, "Okay, I'll try. I'll figure something out. But I need to be honest with you too. I'm scared. I'm terrified actually, but I love you enough to try." She leaned in and kissed me, soft and slow. And Reddit, I'm not gonna lie, it was a little life-changing. It wasn't about the house, the money, or even the gift. It was about understanding each other, about communicating, about compromise. We started talking through possibilities, brainstorming symbolic gestures versus literal expectations. A tiny garden plot in the backyard? Maybe. A DIY project together that felt like home? Could be perfect. A weekend getaway to dream together about a future house? Definitely. By the end of the night, we hadn't solved the mystery of the house, but we had something better. Understanding. A roadmap, if you will, that combined love, creativity, and honesty. A plan that didn't demand breaking the bank, but still respected her desires. As I left her apartment that night, walking back to my own place under the city lights, I felt lighter. Still terrified? Yes. Still wondering how I was going to pull anything off? Absolutely. But for the first time in days, I felt like we weren't adversaries in this house debate. We were partners. Team Ethan and Sam against the world. And Reddit, that's what this chapter was really about. The confrontation wasn't about anger or disappointment. It was about honesty, about love, about realizing that sometimes the most meaningful gestures aren't the ones that cost the most. They're the ones that come from understanding, effort, and heart. I didn't promise her a house. Not yet. But I promised her something better. Me. Fully present, fully committed, and fully determined to make her feel loved in a way that mattered. And if that wasn't worth more than any mansion, I don't know what was. After my confrontation with Sam, I knew one thing. I had to do something. Something that showed her I loved her. Something that proved I put thought, effort, and maybe a tiny bit of mild insanity into making her happy, without bankrupting myself or ending up on a true crime podcast. So I started planning. And when I say planning, I mean obsessively, compulsively, like a man possessed. My apartment turned into mission control. Napkins became blueprints. My laptop was open 24/7 with tabs titled things like DIY dream home ideas, romantic gestures that don't cost money, and how to surprise your girlfriend without accidentally ruining your life. I wanted to hit the perfect balance. Symbolic enough to show thought, ambitious enough to feel like a house-level gesture, but feasible enough that I didn't end up living in a cardboard box. My first attempt? I tried a miniature backyard makeover. Yeah, I figured if I can't give her a real house, why not give her a literal tiny version of a dream home? I bought some miniature garden gnomes, tiny lights, and a small planter box. I spent hours arranging it in my balcony, trying to make it look like a tiny magical house setting. It looked fine, but then a neighbor's cat decided to attack my masterpiece, sending gnomes flying like tiny casualties in a garden war. I stared at the carnage, heartbroken, and muttered to myself, "Ethan, maybe start with something simpler." So I did. I decided to combine sentiment, creativity, and adventure. I mapped out a dream house scavenger hunt that would take Sam through meaningful spots in our city. Each location would have a small gift or a heartfelt note, leading her to the final house-inspired surprise. Here's where things started getting complicated. I had to coordinate timings, make sure people didn't accidentally spill the beans, rent a small storage space for the final surprise, and make all the clues clever but not impossible. I even created a secret email account just to send her hints disguised as mysterious messages from the future. Yes, I am aware this makes me sound slightly unhinged, but that's love, apparently. And then, of course, life decided to test me. The first clue went completely wrong. I had hidden it in a coffee shop where we first met. But apparently, the barista had cleaned the spot the morning Sam arrived, and the clue vanished into the ether. Cue frantic phone calls and me trying to come up with plan B while pretending I wasn't panicking. Next, the small gifts I ordered online started arriving at completely the wrong times. A tiny dream house candle meant for the third location arrived a week early. A personalized keychain showing a tiny house ended up with a misspelled name. At one point, I considered burning the internet down. Not literally, but emotionally, absolutely. But through all the chaos, I kept learning. Every failure taught me something about compromise, about improvisation, about communication, and about self-worth. I realized that I didn't need to create a literal house to show love. I just needed to show effort, care, and creativity. That, Reddit, is huge. Huge. Because it's way easier said than done when the goal seems impossible. Meanwhile, Sam started catching on that something was up. She'd text me innocently, "You've been acting weird. Planning something?" Or pop into my apartment unexpectedly, giving me that suspicious smile that screams, "I know something. Tell me, Ethan, or I will figure it out myself." I tried to play it cool. "Nah, just busy with work," I'd say, trying not to hyperventilate while hiding miniature houses behind bookshelves and plotting scavenger hunts like a romantic ninja. But her curiosity only fueled my determination. I wanted her to feel surprised, appreciated, and loved, not disappointed. So every night after work, I'd stay up planning. I'd scribble diagrams, rehearse notes I'd leave at different stops, and even practice my final reveal speech in front of the mirror. My reflection looked at me like, "You're insane, Ethan, but go on." I also started thinking about timing. I didn't want this to feel rushed or sloppy. Each step of the scavenger hunt had to flow naturally. Each note needed to hit emotionally. And the final surprise, well, that had to feel like a culmination of all our memories, love, and effort. And yes, I may have practiced my surprise face in the mirror. Perfectly executed shock, followed by tears of happiness, followed by laughter. Sam is hard to impress, Reddit. Very hard. But I was determined. By the week before my birthday, the plan was basically set. I had backup clues, emergency small gifts, decoy plans in case something went wrong, and a final location that symbolized our dream home together. It wasn't a house, not in the literal sense, but it was personal, creative, and meaningful, the kind of gesture that shows love without requiring an actual mortgage. And here's the thing, the suspense of it all, torture. I was dying inside. Every time Sam mentioned anything about birthdays, houses, or dreams, my brain jumped to, what if this backfires? What if she hates it? What if I ruin everything? But through all the fear, I kept reminding myself, the point isn't the house. The point is effort, thought, love, the things I can actually give her, even if they don't come with square footage or a kitchen island. The night before the big day, I double-checked everything. Clues hidden, gifts ready, final surprise prepped. My apartment looked like a miniature war room. My hands were shaking, my heart was racing, but for the first time in days, I felt excited. Because Reddit, this was it. The culmination of everything I've been planning. The test of love and creativity. The moment where all the sweat, stress, and panic would either pay off or crash spectacularly. And as I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I felt a strange mix of terror and anticipation. Sam didn't know a thing. The plan was a secret. And the next day would reveal whether I had succeeded in showing her love in a way that mattered. Would she be amazed? Confused? Angry? Laugh hysterically? I had no idea, but I knew one thing for certain. I had tried. I had poured everything I could into making her feel loved. And that was worth more than any literal house. So here I am, Reddit, pacing, rehearsing, overthinking, and waiting for the next 24 hours to hit. The surprise is set. The clues are hidden, and the final reveal, it's just around the corner. And I'm terrified. But for the first time, it's a good kind of terrified. Because love, effort, and a little insanity are about to collide in ways I never could have imagined. The day I'd been obsessing, panicking, planning, and losing sleep over for weeks. My girlfriend Sam's birthday. The culmination of everything. The house request, my stress-induced gray hairs, my questionable life decisions, and my borderline insane, creative plan to show her love without literally buying a mansion. I woke up that morning with a mix of terror and excitement that was honestly unmanageable. I stared at the ceiling for a solid 10 minutes, trying to convince myself that I wasn't going to completely screw this up. And then I remembered, Ethan, you've spent weeks preparing. You know what you're doing. Don't panic. Easier said than done when your life feels like a romantic action movie and you're the lead who may or may not survive the climax. The first step was getting her started on the scavenger hunt. I had arranged for a series of clues to lead her to places that were meaningful in our relationship. Our favorite coffee shop, the park where we had our first picnic, the bookstore where she spent hours reading while I pretended to understand literature. Each location had a small gift or a handwritten note, something sentimental that reflected our memories and inside jokes. I watched her leave my apartment with the first clue in hand, trying to look casual while my stomach did somersaults. She raised an eyebrow, suspicious but amused, like she knew something was up but couldn't quite figure it out. Classic Sam. I swear she's part psychic. I spent the morning glued to my phone, anxiously checking for updates. She texted after the first location. "Okay, this is cute, but are you planning something insane?" My reply, of course, was just a little. Don't ruin the surprise. By mid-afternoon, the texts were coming faster. Every note she found seemed to delight her. I could almost hear her laughter through the screen. And then the inevitable panic kicked in. What if the final surprise fell flat? What if she was expecting a literal house and thought this was a joke? My heart rate skyrocketed. I rushed to the final location, a small but charming empty loft I had rented for the day, decorated to resemble a dream house in miniature. Fairy lights strung across the walls, candles flickering softly, a few tiny house models set up with personal touches from each stage of our relationship. It wasn't a mansion. It wasn't even remotely livable, but it was ours in a way that mattered, a symbolic gesture of a future we could build together. And then I waited. When Sam arrived, the look on her face, Reddit. I'm not exaggerating. It was worth every panic attack, every failed miniature garden, every sleepless night. Her eyes widened, her hand flew to her mouth, and she laughed. That delighted, incredulous laugh I'd fallen in love with. "Oh my God," she whispered, stepping inside. "You did all of this? For me?" "Yes," I said, trying to sound calm but failing spectacularly. "Everything. Every note, every stop, every little thing. It's all because I love you. I can't give you a real house. At least not right now, but I wanted to show you you're my world. And this is my version of a house for us." She stepped closer, taking my hands in hers. "Ethan, this is incredible. It's not the house I imagined, but it's perfect. It's us." I felt a weight lift off my chest. All the stress, all the panic, all the obsessive planning, it had been worth it. She understood. She got it. And more importantly, she got me. We spent the next hour walking through the miniature house, laughing at the little details, pointing out inside jokes hidden in the decorations, and reminiscing about our past adventures. At one point, she picked up a tiny gnome I had salvaged from my failed balcony garden and held it up like a trophy. "This little guy survived the cat apocalypse," she said, and we both laughed so hard that I almost cried. But then came the moment that really got me. She sat down on the small couch I had placed in the loft and looked at me seriously. "Ethan, I need you to know something," she said. All of this shows me more than a real house ever could. You put thought into it, effort, and heart. That's what matters. Not a number in a bank account or a square foot measurement. Love isn't about what you can buy. It's about what you're willing to create together." I swallowed hard, blinking back tears. "Sam, I was terrified. Terrified I'd disappoint you. Terrified I wouldn't measure up. But hearing that, I feel like I finally got it right. And maybe I don't need to buy a literal house. Maybe I just need to keep building with you. Every day, in ways that matter." She smiled, leaning in to kiss me softly. "Exactly. And who knows, one day, maybe we'll have that house. But for now, this is our little dream home. Just for today." I laughed, a mix of relief and disbelief. "Our little dream home. Okay, Reddit, that's actually kind of cute." We spent the rest of the evening talking, planning imaginary renovations, joking about what color we'd paint the walls, and making plans for the future. It wasn't about money or status or impressing anyone else. It was about us. Our love, our understanding, our willingness to compromise and create something meaningful together. And the house. The literal house? Well, let's just say I had one more surprise. Hidden inside the loft was a small, handcrafted house key ornament I had made. On it, a note read, "This is a promise. One day, a real house. But for now, let's build our home in every little moment." Sam held it close, tears in her eyes. "Ethan, this is perfect." And read it. That's when I realized something important. Love isn't about checking off a list or meeting impossible expectations. It's about effort, thought, dedication, and creating meaning together. Even if that means improvising, failing a few times, and panicking like a maniac for weeks. By the end of the night, we were sitting side by side, exhausted but happy, wrapped up in blankets, laughing quietly and talking about our next adventure. I didn't give her a literal house, but I gave her something better. Proof that I understood her, that I cared deeply, and that I was willing to go to great lengths to make her feel loved. And in that moment, I knew that the house, symbolic or literal, didn't matter as much as we did. Together, we could build anything. And read it. I finally understood that effort, creativity, and love matter far more than square footage. So yeah, my girlfriend asked for a house for her birthday, and I didn't give her one. But what I did give her? Something unforgettable, something heartfelt, something that I think she'll remember forever. And honestly, that's worth more than any mansion in the world. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the story. We have so many more amazing stories coming your way, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Our goal is to reach 100K subscribers by the end of this year, and we'd love for you to be part of this journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.